Hi everyone. Today onto another topic, which is unexplored labels or diagnoses. And, and what we really mean by unexplored is that unquestioned identification between self and label, and between all the things that go with that. So unquestioned identification between self and the future that that label creates, or unquestioned identification between self and the past of things that should have been done differently, or reasons why this is the case, or self-blame that things I did have led to this. Unquestioned identification with how other people will see us with that label, what that means for our place in society or within a family. Unquestioned identification with all the implications, with maybe dependency or restriction, all of this. And what it can look like is that this conversation is saying there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as cancer. There's no such thing as depression. There's no such thing as anxiety. There's no such thing as ADHD. There's no such thing as panic attacks. There's no such thing as diabetes. It can so easily look like that. In a conversation about reality, it looks like either this is how it is, this is what this means about me, this is what this means about my future, or in comes this conversation, it looks, oh right, so there's no such thing as that illness, there's no me, therefore there's no illness. So anytime it looks like that's true, then that's wrong. It's much more, it's much kinder than that. It's much more gentle and real than that. Because what we're seeing is, in that unquestioned identification of self with diagnosis, with label, I'm this now, and this means that. What's happening is that all these concepts, future, past, others, me, diagnoses, implications, all of that is just taken at belief level, at instant belief level, unquestioned. And so all conditioned thought, all conditioned associations, all our unquestioned insecurities and vulnerabilities just go bam, this is how this is. And what this conversation is looking at is how that's never true, can't ever be true. There's not one single grain of truth in any of it. It's like a pile of beliefs, unquestioned beliefs. So that instant film of what this illness, what these symptoms mean about me, is just a creation that arises out of some of the deepest held beliefs of our identity and vulnerability and blame that have never gone unquestioned. And so of course they arise bam, like that. So we're seeing, well, that's never true. And that feeling when that film arises of that dis-ease with that film, that jarring, that insecurity, that sense of being isolated and sense of a me having to try to figure all this out to be okay, all of that is an indication of this incredibly creative expression of belief. And so that's not true, but equally, neither. So that's not true. And the self in reaction, like, okay, you take that away from me, you take it away from me, you take my identity away from me, then okay, I'm going to go on a protest. Like, this isn't real then, is it? No, nothing's real. It's like a sort of pushing away of everything. But it's entirely false, because there do seem to be sensations, and there does seem to be information, and there does seem to be a diagnosis that holds a space for useful indications and treatments and conversation and intervention. And that's why this is so gentle, because we are being firm and seeing that no concept is ever true. So all the idea of the future, even the concept of the diagnosis as something, whatever comes to mind. So say whatever comes to mind when I say the word cancer, it looks true, doesn't it? But yet, that's imagination. That's totally imagination. And so what this conversation is doing is seeing imagination for what it is. Superpower, like we talked about on the webinar. It's a superpower. But it's not true. And that allows the coming into the actual truth. It allows the presence to the words that doctors might be saying, consultants might be saying, people that we ask for advice. It's presence. It's not imagination. It's not like scooting off around all over the place. This is how this is how I am, this is what. It's not that. It's the total coming into what is, what's now, the sensations that arise, the feelings, the worries, the words, the advice, the possibilities. It's the presence with all of that. No denial, no trying to pretend none of it's real. And at the same time, deeply seeing the imagination at work allows this entirely practical, entirely open, entirely realistic honoring of what is. And and this is what's so fascinating, is that it's ultimately the limit of any exploration is the extent to which an imagined concept is believed and defended. So, and that's the film that plays out. So there can be openness up to a point, but then there's a belief. And there can be openness, but this means this for me. This means this for my future. This means this for what people will be thinking about me, and that's the limit. That's the limit. And so in all walks of life, as presence allows concepts to dissolve, as presence moves through the concept, because it's so close up that it's seen that there's nothing there is no limit. That's where enormous strides are made in treatments and in intervention and in understanding of different body parts, different ways to address disease. It's the in everything, and in art, and business, and medicine, and health, everything. It's the going right to the edge and seeing what's there. Seeing what's there, and it dissolves in that. So this is so far from denial, so far from just an unquestioned pushing away, because actually we can't bear to think about something, we can't bear to look at it, so we push it away. It's the going so close into the discomfort or into the sensations, into the exploration of what this label actually is, that's transformative. Everything changes with that open gaze. It's amazing. It's really so it could be us, if we've been diagnosed with something, or a family member has been, it could be us that transforms the understanding of that for everybody. Because in the going so close in the gathering of all information available, in the listening, and the openness, in the spreading of the net wide to really understand, not from a perspective of gathering information that will reinforce this concept I have. Can you see that? Total opposite. And that's what we tend to do. This is what I believe to be real, so therefore I'm going to cherry pick all the information available to support that concept. It's the opposite of exploration, and it's habitual, isn't it? For most of the time we're doing that, but it's the opposite. It's that depth of openness and inquiry, understanding that no concept's ever true, no belief is ever true, no imagination is ever true. Close in, and then the horizon expands, and it expands for all of us. Then that's whatever field we're in. That's, in a way, that's the offering. That's the availability, isn't it? Of transformation for the whole world, because it's transforming here. Yeah, so I hope that's a little bit of glimmer coming through there, that essentially the imagined concept, the unquestioned identification, the self tangled up in these labels is never true, ever. The denial of labels, the pushing away of symptoms, the turning away, the distraction, which this conversation can really be used for, is all that's doing is maintaining them in place, because they're just fixed as something that can't be looked at. And that open space, that open presence to simply what is transformative in every way. No reality can stay in existence in the face of that presence. Nothing can. It's cool, isn't it? All right, my lovelies. See you soon. Bye.